£50,000 or $50,000 plus the admin charges. So the banks started to feel that there is a real crisis and they don't have enough liquid money, so the crisis took place. Okay? And once the crisis took place, everybody started to panic and everybody started to either offer his property for sale, and those who incurred large amount of debts, they started to think of new methods in order to pay off their debts. As a result of this panic and this chaotic situation, the biggest bank, or the fourth biggest bank in America, Lehman Brothers, announced bankruptcy in order to what? To save the real assets that it owns. Okay? And after that, they say that 11 small banks in America, okay, also collapsed. And maybe you know here in Britain that recently the government, in order to plan to save the banks, you know that they bought maybe most of the assets of Bradford and Bingley, yeah, okay, and some other banks as well, which, as they say, that it is the first time in the history to take place. Why? Because the governments in a capital system, which means the Western governments, never thought of what? Never thought of, yes, investing in banks or owning the banks. But they say that this is the only way to save or secure those banks. And they say also that in Italy and Germany and other countries, they are starting to follow the British way of saving those banks. Now, we commented on the Islamic perspective on each of the steps that went wrong throughout the process. But one of the things that maybe we forgot to mention is that this culture, which is the credit culture, I call it credit culture. This credit culture means that people don't mind to borrow money in order to what? Live a luxury life. It's not they are not just borrowing money to survive. No, they are borrowing money to live a luxury life. And this is, from an Islamic perspective, is totally rejected. And you, as you know, from an Islamic perspective, you should not get loans unless you really need to get those loans. This is one thing. And the other thing, this culture, again, this issue of dealing with riba, because many people are talking about dealing with riba in Western countries, and they say, okay, it's better for me to own my own property after 20 or 25 years instead of keep paying a rent for 20 or 25 years. Many people say that. Is that true or not? They don't know that there is a trick here. Okay? The trick, what is the trick? That once you buy a property on mortgage, means on riba based, you are contributing in raising up the prices of properties. Okay? So the more the people go into mortgage in order to buy properties, the more they are making it difficult for themselves and for others to buy properties. Did you get this? Because once more people buy properties, it means that the banks are lending them money. First of all, more demand on properties. The second thing is the banks, they have to put into consideration that those people will fail to pay the debts, and therefore they are increasing the interest rate. Once the interest rate increases, the prices of everything increases, and sometimes the inflation takes place. Okay? So this is another trick, and that's why mortgage or buying properties through mortgage is not a solution. It is itself is a problem. That's why we have to take note of that. So this is what happened, okay, briefly. I hope that it is clear. Now, I mentioned the Islamic perspective about these issues, okay, and how Islam is dealing with those particular issues. Now, many people say, okay, if it is a natural need that any single person to own his own property. Yes, it is a natural need. But if there is a haram, or if you are going to violate one of the instructions given by Sharia in order to buy your own property, then we should realize that this will not be a solution, but this will actually eventually lead to another problem. And for people living maybe in the West, if they have no choice but to living on a rent, let them live on a rent, and that is far better for them to contribute into this great or this big crisis that is taking place. Now, maybe you know that many analysts, they started to speak whether this is the end of the capital system or not. Okay, maybe you have heard about this discussion. Is this the end of the capital system or not? Even Sarkozy, the Prime Minister or the President of France, okay, he was also speaking about this. The tone of so many analysts have changed since yesterday. They started to say, no, it is not the end of the capital system, and America will remain as the superpower, okay, and the capital system will remain as the best system. My own analysis is that it might, or it is likely that this capital system to remain. Why? Simply because there is no alternative. The Islamic alternative is still, okay, not ready. Why it is not ready? Because there are no strong countries to promote that Islamic alternative. And simply, if there is no strong countries to promote it, then that system will remain on a small scale. This is one thing. The other thing is, from my own view, that the Western governments are interested of keeping that capital system, because the capital system is mainly keeping the rich, okay, as rich and the poor as poor. And the capital system is the measure or the guard that keeps those countries, okay, in power, and keeping the other African countries, okay, or the third world countries in a state of